We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his...
After putting up with Stephen A. Smith's disrespect for many months, Bronny James has finally had enough and called him out directly during an Instagram live broadcast.
Listen up, motherfucker.
After months of Stephen A. Smith constantly taking shots at him, Bronny James finally fired back during an Instagram live, but the most shocking part was when he brought up something from Stephen A. past that nobody expected, and now the whole story is coming out piece by piece from what led to this moment to the deeper history between the two sides, and trust me, the details are wild and worth walking through from the very beginning, because this didn't just start overnight. It started when LeBron first made it clear years ago that he wanted to play alongside his son, which immediately put a target on Bronny before he even stepped foot on an NBA court, and from that moment Stephen A. has been one of the loudest voices questioning whether Bronny actually belongs in the league, and it all finally boiled over in a way nobody saw coming. What started as quiet whispers about whether this was fair to other players or just a case of famous last name privilege slowly turned into open discussion once Bronny's actual NBA stats started painting a clear picture through his first 13 games, averaging almost nothing across the board with just one made basket out of 16 attempts and 0 threes falling, and that is when Stephen A. Smith stepped in as the loudest voice at ESPN, ready to say what many were thinking but holding back, because Smith had been watching this whole situation unfold with real concern, not for LeBron legacy but for the young guy getting thrown into the deep end without any real preparation, and it all finally exploded on January 29th. 2025, after Bronny played 15 minutes against Philadelphia without scoring a single point, and the very next day Smith went on air and delivered what would become the most talked about sports moment of the year.
Pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. Stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his...
Smith didn't stop there, because he truly seemed to care about the game and the people in it, and he started comparing Bronny's situation to boxing legend Joe Frazier's son, who faced the exact same kind of pressure and ended up defined by it more than his own fights, and Smith said on air that this is exactly what is happening now, and it is hard to watch, which immediately split the internet right down the middle, with some people backing Smith for telling the truth, while others felt he went way too far. Talking about family, and what stood out most was the silence from LeBron and the Lakers, not a word from anyone, and that silence was misleading because behind closed doors things were heating up fast, and LeBron frustration was growing not just at Smith but at the whole conversation, treating his son like a symbol in some bigger argument about fairness and basketball. And then came March 6, 2025, during a regular Lakers game against the Knicks, when Smith was sitting courtside with a couple famous friends, and what should have been a quiet night turned into one of the most intense moments sports media has ever seen. During a break in the game, LeBron James walked straight towards Stephen A. Smith, not as a superstar athlete, but as a father with clear purpose and determination, and someone in the crowd caught the whole thing on video, turning it into one of the most talked about moments in years, and from reading lips and later reports it became obvious that LeBron told Smith to stop mentioning his son and to leave him out of it completely, and right after that the internet went wild, with some people supporting LeBron for protecting his kid and others questioning why he chose to do it so publicly, and ESPN had to deal with the fallout immediately as the video spread everywhere, and even Smith later admitted he understood where LeBron was coming from as a dad, but still believed as a journalist he had to speak honestly about what he saw happening, and that moment at the game should have closed the chapter, but it actually opened a much bigger one.
It wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard.
Smith's statement pretty much summed up the whole conflict, because he got why LeBron felt the need to protect his kid, but he also stood by his job as a reporter to call things the way he saw them, and that tension between personal feelings and professional duty is exactly what made the whole thing blow up. And normally a quick argument during a timeout would just fade away and become a minor story nobody remembers, but this time it was completely different, because after that night both sides went quiet, but underneath the surface there was a lot happening, and a carefully planned media push was already taking shape that would eventually show how calculated everything really is and how hard it is to tell real emotion from strategic moves. And when Smith came back on First Take the next day, he tried to calm things down and keep it professional, but even then you could feel his frustration slipping through about how everything went down.
Record, his agent and friend Rich Paul has my number. Maverick Carter, who works under him, has my number. LeBron James knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted.
This moment showed Smith's first real slip, because he approached everything like a normal professional disagreement when LeBron was clearly coming from a totally different place emotionally and strategically, and Smith kept talking about journalism and responsibility, not realizing that LeBron had already shifted the fight into something much more personal and public. And where Smith really messed up was when he started breaking down his own comments piece by piece on First Take, trying to explain Exactly what he said about Bronny compared to what he said about LeBron, and in the middle of all that, Smith made sure to point out.
Had that conversation, I would have said to LeBron James, I never would speak negatively about your son. I was talking about you, meaning you, LeBron.
Smith kept making this clear distinction that his criticism was directed at LeBron as the father making decisions and not at Bronny as the player trying to make it, and that became the main fight going forward. But while Smith was busy being careful with his words and building logical arguments, LeBron was thinking way ahead and playing a much smarter game, and the first clue came not from anything he said but from his timing, because for weeks after the confrontation he stayed quiet, letting the story sit there while he watched how Smith handled everything, and during that time Bronny started playing better, especially in the G League where he dropped over 20 points a game, giving LeBron exactly what he needed for the next move. And then on March 20th, 2025, Bronny had his best NBA game yet, scoring 17 points with 5 assists against the Bucks, and it was good enough that even Smith had to say something about it on air, and in what had to feel like a huge win for LeBron, Smith went on First Take and admitted,
I want to bring up, I might have been wrong. Are you listening, LeBron James? Are you listening, James family? Are you listening, Rich Paul? Are you listening, all of you people? Because here's my position. My position was all along, Bronny James needed to be in the G League. Put him in the G League, let him be in the G League his first year, and then after that, let him come on, because I've always believed that this kid has the potential, once I watched him, to be in the NBA. But what I saw last night made me say to myself...
Smith ended up praising Bronny for his confidence and the way he carried himself on the court, suggesting that maybe splitting time between the NBA and G League was actually helping him grow. But instead of seeing this as a chance to bury the hatchet, LeBron took it as proof that Smith had been wrong all along and that the criticism was unfair from the start, and this moment where LeBron felt like he once set everything up for what came next, which was his most calculated move yet. And on March 26th, 2025, LeBron showed up on the Pat McAfee show, and instead of acting like an angry dad firing back emotionally, he came across as someone who had been planning every word for weeks, and he completely flipped the whole story, making Smith look less like a journalist with concerns and more like someone just chasing attention.
Well, he literally, it started off with, I didn't want to address it.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it, but since the video came out, I feel the need to address it.
You would be not to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you could address it, it's your ass. Like, seriously, and like another, he completely like missed the whole point.
This was pure psychological warfare at the highest level, because LeBron was not just defending himself, he was going straight after Smith's reputation and what motivated him, suggesting that the whole situation was being played up for attention and personal gain. And the comment about the Taylor Swift tour run cut especially deep, because it made Smith's constant appearances look less like professional duties and more like someone squeezing every drop of fame out of a moment. And the way Smith responded showed just how much that got to him, because in a 52-minute YouTube video he took things even further and admitted that if LeBron had actually touched him during the confrontation, he would have fought back right there, and that was the moment the whole thing stopped being about journalism and turned into something deeply personal, with Smith now defending his own pride against what he saw as a coordinated attack on his character. And maybe the most telling part was when he broke down exactly what he believed LeBron had twisted and lied about on the Gills Arena podcast. Smith went even harder, calling LeBron approach weak and saying the whole public scene was staged for attention instead of any real attempt to fix things. And this back and forth, where Smith admitted LeBron had a right to be a dad, but then trashed how he handled it, showed just how tangled the situation really was and how conflicted Smith felt about the whole thing. And things hit a new high when LeBron chose to appear on a show that goes up against First Take right after First Take aired, which Smith saw as a direct insult meant to hurt his show influence, and that move made it clear LeBron was playing the long game and using every platform he could to steer the story exactly where he wanted it. And if you want to see more videos like this, just click on one of the cards showing on your screen right now.